from the people of knowledge.
Okay.
And that is what I do. So I don't claim to know the Quran or the Bible.
You personally do not, but you acknowledge the fact that some do. That some understand all the words within the Quran without a fault.
Some people understand the Quran better than others, yes.
No, but so you saying that by the fact that the Quran was written by a
What is
God,
the point you want to make?
hence it has no contradictions.
Yeah, it has no contradictions.
Hence it should be taken literally. Hence everything written within it, you can understand perfectly.
Okay, in other words, the Quran is from God.
Yes.
Okay? And anything that God gives you, it cannot have a contradiction.
Okay.
Okay? And this is what Allah tells us in the Quran. If this book is from anyone other than Allah, surely you'll find lots of contradictions and discrepancies in it. And this is the principle that I use to see another book which claims to be from God, for example, the Bible.
Okay.
And we have seen, like in the Bible, that there are contradictions in it.
Okay.
And this is one of the reasons I reject the Bible as the book or the revelation from God. It has some truth in it, which I see and match up with the Quran. If they are in sync, then obviously those, for example, God is one, as in the Bible and the Quran. And I think that is the truth in the Bible.
Brilliant.
So what is
what you're saying that if a book has no contradictions,
if a book claims to be from God,
if a book claims to be from
and
God,
it has
will,
no contradiction,
it will have no contradiction.
then that is one of the principles to accept it as a book of God.
Okay, so wouldn't you be able to accept the fact that the teachings of science, which don't have contradictions, which are facts?
Okay, so let me ask you this.
Okay.
Is there any scientific fact which is grounded in, which is written in stone, which will never ever change?
No, and that is the beauty of it.
Good. So you see you have answered your own question.
No,
listen.
Because
So I tell you,
the scientific facts are open to observation and change. Because you observe the world around you, and when you realize that what you believe is the truth,
I need to help this sister.
doesn't
Can you hold
hold,
on for a minute?
and it's
Don't
not
sound
true,
like
you change it.
absolutely. I agree with
be
that.
the truth.
I agree with that. Is there a possibility in that case to have a contradiction later on for which you think now is a fact? Is there a possibility of contradiction in the future?
Yes.
So don't say in science there is no contradiction.
Okay.
Good.
So you're saying that by the fact that the book was brought from God, it cannot possibly be wrong.
It cannot have contradictions and it cannot be wrong, yes.
So, but it can never be changed,
It cannot be changed.
ever.
That's the difference between science and the Quran or the revelation from God. You see, if God knows the future, if God knows the past and God knows the present, yes, then there is no need for him to make amendments in the book, which is the final revelation. While it is being revealed. Can I want somebody don't mind? With all due respect, okay? So what I'm saying is this. When Allah was revealing the verses, yes, He knew exactly what verses at what time to reveal. Yes, it didn't pop down as a book in one go. It came over a period of 23 years. Okay, and this is how the Quran came into a book form at a later stage. So it didn't drop down as a book. Yeah? So it was a revelation. For example, if something happened at a particular time, Allah would inspire or guide Prophet Muhammad or depending on the companions, their life, Allah would send a message through an angel to Muhammad to explain or guide the companion that he has that he should do it this way and not this particular way. So it's basically a book of guidance. It's not a book of science. Okay. So one thing you need to realize when you compare the Quran with science, I think it's a false equivalence, because what you're doing now is that you're comparing something which is purely one field with another field.
No, it isn't, because people don't choose to see it that way. I have no issue with people having their own beliefs. I have no issue with people having their own religion and having faith in a God which can help them through tough situations or tough parts of their lives. That I have no issue with. What I do have an issue with is when they choose to take what is spiritual and what should guide them within and apply it to things which should be looked at with logic and sense.
Yeah, but you see, logic, sense, spirituality, and even science, okay? They are not divorced. They can be together and work together.
But you just said that they're two separate things.
They're different
and they
fields.
cannot be compared.
What I said is not a book of science. So do not think that everything. When you look at the Quran, you look at it as if it is a science book. It's not. For example, there are certain things which Allah will tell you metaphorically. Yes.
Okay.
You do not say that this is.
So they're open to interpretation.
It has facts. For example, it has the stages of embryology in it. Yes, that is quite scientific.
Okay, I have heard this argument before.
Yes.
And quite frankly, I found it laughable.
Which part?
I found, for example, I'll be honest, this was years ago, so I can't pinpoint it exactly.
So what is the mistake that you found?
For example, the one thing I remember that somebody claimed to me was the proof that Quran was brought forth from God because somebody's never made that discovery? Was the boundary between the water, between the river and the sea?
Wait. I'll tell you what. You said it's laughable regarding embryology. What was laughable?
Then what would you happen to remember the passage that you mentioned?
I don't remember the passage, but you said it's laughable. So you must remember something from it.
Yes, I
Which
remember
part do
that
you
it was a
remember
very,
that was laughable.
What I remember, memory is false, is the fact that it's not down to the man to bear a child, that it's down to the woman. As in, the woman produces the egg. I'm making this up.
Nothing to do with embryology.
I'm completely making
We are
this up.
talking about embryology. Don't make it up.
so
If you're not certain, tell me you don't know.
I just did.
But you said it was laughable.
Yes, because
if something was laughable, then you should remember.
because at the time, while speaking to somebody who did claim to know of
Let's
it.
be fair. If you don't have that evidence, then let's not discuss it.
But you don't have that evidence either, because
I'm not the one making the claim of a discrepancy. You're the one.
Yeah.
So do not shift the burden of proof on me.
Yeah.
Good.
I recognize
All right.
that.
So tell me from the Quran that you remember, what do you think is objectionable?
What I found is that it was taken, simple observations were taken as explanations.
Give me an example.
The one I remember was about the two bodies of water. When a river flows into the sea, and you see the difference, right? That there has got to be something about it that makes them different. And obviously we know what it is. It's the salt content, which changes
So what did the
density.
Quran say? Did the Quran say that's a miracle?
The person who I was speaking to at the time claimed that is proof that it's scientific observation.
Look, it's a natural phenomenon which Allah mentioned in the Quran. There's nothing wrong in that.
Of course.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, you see, that's the reason I told you earlier, I made it clear that the Quran, do not look at the Quran as if it's a science book and expect scientific explanations from it. Because it's not an encyclopedia, it's not a science book.
Believe me, I do not.
Yeah.
I do not. I don't look at scientific papers that were published 20 years ago as truth, because there's a very good chance that they're at this point that they're out of date and that they are no longer valid and new conclusions have been made.
You talked about the Quran, so you don't remember things.
But my issue is with many people. They choose, and I'm not saying you personally, but you cannot disagree with the fact that very many people choose to ignore the new information and the stuff that humanity has discovered since the book was written. Evolution is the prime example of that.
Evolution is a prime example of that.
Yes, of the fact that people choose to blindly ignore all the evidence and all the facts which back the
Do they have a choice
theory.
to ignore?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so whatever science explains,
choosing ignorance because of a belief
there's a difference.
is never a better path.
Subo, just 1 second. This gentleman here is saying evolution is something that we shouldn't ignore. What is your thought on that?
What do you mean by it?
I mean evolution. I mean the fact that all life evolved from a single, very, very distant ancestor.
I'll hand it over to Subo.
Okay, that's Darwinism, that's not evolution. Evolution is a simple observation of biological change.
Okay?
How do you know that universal common ancestry is true?
Because if all life follows the same patterns.